They said personal flying vehicles were still decades away until China quietly launched a prototype that shocked the world. No runway, no pilot, no noise, just take off, glide, and land anywhere. It's faster than cars, safer than helicopters, and could end traffic forever. But what happens when millions of people start flying at the same time? Join us and let's discover the newly created Chinese vehicles that will shock you. Let's go! Number 13. Pivotal's Helix. Pivotal's Helix represents accessible aviation at its finest. Weighing just 115 kilograms, it qualifies as an ultralight vehicle in the United States, meaning no pilot license required for operation. Electric propulsion powers fixed wings that generate lift for flights up to 20 minutes at cruise speeds of 100 kilometers per hour. Range maxes out at 32 kilometers per charge, perfect for recreational flying and short-distance personal transportation. The revolutionary aspect is complete automation. Artificial intelligence handles stabilization, navigation, and emergency landings, while the pilot simply indicates where to go. Learning to fly takes under an hour for most people because the computer manages all the complex aerodynamics. It's genuinely as simple as driving a car, just in 3 dimensions instead of 2. The price of $190,000 positions it in the premium consumer market comparable to luxury sports cars. Over 2,000 pre-orders show strong demand for personal aircraft that don't require expensive training or licensing. Pivotal plans to establish networks of flight stations in major cities, creating infrastructure for urban air mobility. Charging stations would function like gas stations, letting pilots recharge during longer journeys. The compact design means storage in standard garages without modifications. Safety features include ballistic parachutes that deploy if power fails, bringing the aircraft down gently. Maximum altitude limits prevent pilots from entering commercial airspace or flying dangerously high. The community of Helix owners is growing, organizing group flights and sharing favorite routes through scenic areas. Number 12. Airspeeder Mk3. Australian company Alauda Aeronautics built the Airspeeder Mk3 specifically for high-speed aerial racing competitions. This machine reaches 300 kilometers per hour while performing maneuvers impossible for conventional aircraft. 8 rotors provide complete propulsion redundancy. If one fails, the other 7 compensate automatically. Vertical takeoff and landing capability combines with fighter jet agility, creating a racing platform unlike anything in motorsports history. Artificial intelligence collision avoidance systems let pilots push limits without risking mid-air contact during races. The first official Airspeeder racing series is organizing 3-dimensional courses that use altitude changes and tight turns to challenge pilots. Former Formula One and MotoGP racers are training for these new competitions, recognizing that aerial racing represents the next evolution in motorsport. Courses float through desert canyons, over water, and around natural obstacles, creating spectacles that make traditional racing look two-dimensional. Onboard cameras give spectators fighter-pilot perspectives as aircraft bank, dive, and climb through race courses. The sport combines elements of drone racing, air shows, and traditional motorsports into something entirely fresh. Teams are developing different strategies for 3-dimensional racing where altitude becomes as important as lateral position. Pit stops involve battery swaps that take under 60 seconds, keeping races fast-paced and exciting. Broadcasting technology uses augmented reality overlays to show speed, altitude, and position data in real time, helping audiences follow the action even when aircraft move at incredible speeds through complex courses. The sport combines elements of drone racing, air shows, and traditional motorsports into something entirely fresh. Teams are developing different strategies for 3-dimensional racing where altitude becomes as important as lateral position. Pit stops involve battery swaps that take under 60 seconds, keeping races fast-paced and exciting. Broadcasting technology uses augmented reality overlays to show speed, altitude, and position data in real time, helping audiences follow the action even when aircraft move at incredible speeds through complex courses. I'm going to ask you a simple question. Are you a naturally curious person? If you're watching, I'm pretty sure the answer is yes. This space is made for people like us. To ensure you're always part of this community and receive all our latest discoveries, you just need to do one thing: subscribe to the channel. It's the best way to stay connected with us. Okay, now that you're part of our Legion of the Curious, let's move on to the next item. Number 11. Aerofex Aero X motorcycle. Aero X from California promised a hoverbike straight out of science fiction. This vehicle uses two large ducted rotors underneath a motorcycle-style frame, creating a hovering platform that skims along about 3 meters above ground. The design targets off-road enthusiasts who want to float over terrain instead of bouncing through it on wheels. Top speed was projected at 72 kilometers per hour with 45 minutes of flight time. The company showed working prototypes hovering steadily while supporting a pilot's weight. Control happens through handlebars, just like a motorcycle, with throttle and steering feeling familiar to anyone who rides. The hoverbike can supposedly carry up to 140 kilograms, including rider and gear. Applications ranged from recreational riding to search and rescue operations in difficult terrain. Farmers explored using them to survey crops and check on livestock across large properties. Border Patrol agencies looked at them for monitoring remote areas vehicles can't reach. The development faced technical challenges balancing thrust, stability, and fuel efficiency. Getting smooth control at low hover heights proved trickier than expected. Wind gusts affect hovering stability more than traditional aircraft because of the low altitude operation. The company struggled with funding and production delays, eventually going quiet after years of development. But the concept captured imaginations and inspired other teams to pursue similar designs. Several competing hoverbike projects emerged, each tackling the engineering challenges differently. The appeal of motorcycle-style flight controls combined with off-road capability keeps attracting inventors and investors despite setbacks. Number 10. Martin Jetpack. Martin Aircraft Company from New Zealand finally cracked the jetpack problem that stumped inventors for 70 years. Their Martin Jetpack uses a gasoline engine driving two ducted fans that generate 600 pounds of thrust. This isn't the hydrogen peroxide rocket packs from old movies that flew for 30 seconds. This machine stays airborne for 30 minutes, covering distances up to 30 kilometers. Cruise speed reaches 74 kilometers per hour at altitudes up to 1,000 meters, and the whole system weighs 250 kilograms fully fueled. The pilot straps in standing up, using handlebar controls that feel similar to motorcycle operation. What makes this jetpack practical is the ducted fan design instead of exposed propellers or dangerous rocket nozzles. The ducts protect the pilot from spinning blades while dramatically improving efficiency and safety. Emergency services tested these for search and rescue missions in rugged terrain where helicopters struggle to operate. Paramedics could reach accident victims in forests or mountains within minutes instead of hours. Firefighters explored using them to access burning buildings from unexpected angles. The military evaluated tactical applications for special operations teams needing rapid insertion into difficult locations. Commercial production faced challenges with certification requirements because aviation authorities had no existing category for personal jetpacks. The company eventually shifted focus toward unmanned versions for cargo delivery and inspection work. But the technology proved that genuine jetpack flight works for practical applications beyond Hollywood special effects. Several competing designs emerged after Martin demonstrated viability, creating a small industry focused on perfecting personal vertical flight systems. Number 9. XTI Aircraft's Trifan 600. XTI Aircraft's Trifan 600 merges helicopter, airplane, and private jet capabilities into one revolutionary machine. 3 ducted fans provide propulsion. 2 wing-mounted fans rotate 90 degrees to transition between vertical and horizontal flight, while a tail fan manages directional control. This configuration enables helicopter-style vertical takeoffs combined with jet-speed cruise performance, reaching 610 km per hour at altitudes up to 9,100 meters. 6 passengers fit comfortably inside, with range extending to 2,400 kilometers per tank. The aircraft eliminates traditional airport requirements completely, landing on urban helipads, parking lots, or large backyards. Travel time from New York to Washington drops from 4 or 5 hours down to 90 minutes door to door. Trips that involve driving to airports, security screening, boarding, and ground transportation at the destination become obsolete. The Trifan takes off from nearby locations and lands directly at the final destination. FAA certification targets 2025, with an estimated price of $6.5 million, positioning it in the private jet market segment. XTI plans commercial air taxi services to democratize access beyond wealthy individuals who can afford outright purchase. Imagine calling an air taxi that picks you up from a rooftop near your home and drops you at another rooftop near your office. Traffic congestion becomes irrelevant when your commute happens hundreds of meters above the gridlock. The business model mirrors ride-sharing services, but in 3 dimensions, potentially transforming urban transportation as dramatically as cars replaced horses. Number 8. Flying Car Terrafugia Transition. Terrafugia Transition actually earned both FAA aircraft certification and road legal approval. This flying car has folding wings that extend for flight and retract for driving on regular streets. The vehicle fits in a standard garage and runs on automotive gasoline available at any gas station. Driving mode uses the front wheels with a top speed of 100 km per hour on highways. For flight, the wings unfold electrically in under 60 seconds, and a rear-mounted propeller provides thrust. Takeoff requires a short runway. About 500 meters of clear space gets the transition airborne. Once flying, it cruises at 160 kilometers per hour with a range of 640 kilometers. The cabin seats 2 people, with enough cargo space for luggage. Pilots need a sport pilot license, which requires 20 hours of training, less than a full private pilot license. The genius is having one vehicle that solves the last-mile problem in aviation. Traditional planes require cars at both airports, but the transition drives itself to and from destinations. Fly from your home airport to a distant city, then drive the same vehicle to your final destination. No more renting cars or arranging ground transportation. The company spent 14 years navigating regulations to get both aviation and automotive approval. Price landed around $400,000, comparable to high-end sports cars or entry-level aircraft. Several customers took delivery and documented their experiences driving to small airports, transforming into aircraft, flying cross-country, and driving to hotels. The concept proved that multi-mode transportation works practically, inspiring multiple competitors to develop their own flying car designs. Number 7. Mosquito XET Turbine Helicopter. Mosquito XE helicopters brought rotorcraft ownership into reach for regular people, with prices starting around $35,000 for kit versions. These ultralight helicopters seat 1 or 2 people depending on the model, powered by small piston engines or even adapted motorcycle motors. The open-frame design keeps weight minimal. The single-seat XE weighs just 115 kilograms empty. No doors, minimal instruments, just a pilot seat with controls and an engine mounted behind. Flight characteristics match full-size helicopters, with responsive cyclic and collective controls. Pilots learn to hover, perform takeoffs and landings, and fly cross-country just like commercial helicopter operations, but on a tiny scale. Maximum speed reaches around 90 kilometers per hour, with endurance hitting 2 hours on a full tank. The affordable price attracted hundreds of builders who assembled kits in their garages over several months. Many builders had zero aircraft construction experience, but successfully completed flyable helicopters following the detailed instructions. The ultralight classification eliminates expensive certification requirements while still demanding proper pilot training. Learning to fly helicopters is harder than fixed-wing aircraft because of the constant control inputs needed. Both hands and both feet work simultaneously to maintain stable flight. But the freedom of helicopter flight, hovering, flying sideways or backwards, landing anywhere, makes the challenge worthwhile. Communities formed around Mosquito helicopters, with experienced builders helping newcomers troubleshoot issues. Group fly-ins brought dozens of these tiny helicopters together for formation flights and skill competitions. Safety records proved surprisingly good considering the minimal structure and amateur construction. The simplicity and low cost made helicopter ownership accessible to enthusiasts who could never afford certified aircraft. Number 6. The jet suit revolution that turned humans into real-life Iron Man. British company Gravity Industries cracked the code that Hollywood only dreamed about. Their jet suit uses 5 miniature jet engines strategically positioned on the body, 2 mounted on each arm and 1 sitting on the back. The combined thrust generates over 1,000 horsepower, enough to launch a person into the sky at speeds hitting 85 kilometers per hour. Pilots can climb to altitudes of 3,600 meters, controlling every movement through arm positioning alone. Richard Browning, the founder who pioneered this technology, spent years perfecting the balance between power and maneuverability. The learning curve demands intensive training because controlling flight through arm movements requires developing entirely new muscle memory and spatial awareness. Emergency services are already testing these suits for mountain rescues where helicopters can't reach. Industrial inspection teams use them to check wind turbines and communication towers without expensive scaffolding. The price tag sits at $440,000, making it a specialized tool rather than consumer product. But the technology proves that personal flight isn't science fiction anymore. The suit weighs approximately 27 kilograms when fueled, and pilots need exceptional physical fitness to handle the G-forces during flight. Each flight session lasts around 5 to 10 minutes, depending on maneuvers and altitude changes. Training programs now exist in multiple countries, teaching pilots how to take off, navigate obstacles, and land safely without injury. Number 5. Flying surfboard. Frankie Zapata turned water sports equipment into a legitimate flying machine with the Flyboard Air. This turbine-powered platform generates 140 kilograms of thrust through 5 micro-turbojets, launching riders to heights of 150 meters above ground or water. The top speed exceeds 200 kilometers per hour, transforming the rider into a human missile streaking across the sky. Gyroscopic stabilization systems keep the platform balanced automatically, reducing the terrifying wobble that plagued earlier prototypes. Pilots control direction and speed through subtle body movements and a handheld throttle controller. The device runs on kerosene fuel, giving it a 10-minute flight window before requiring refueling. Zapata made headlines worldwide in 2019 when he successfully crossed the English Channel on his second attempt, covering 35 kilometers of open water while standing on this flying board. The French military immediately took interest, funding development for tactical applications. Coastal patrol units could respond to emergencies faster than boats while covering terrain that vehicles can't access. Island communities see potential for short-distance transportation between landmasses separated by water. The current version costs around $250,000 and requires extensive training to master the balance and control systems. Riders report that the sensation combines elements of surfing, snowboarding, and fighter jet piloting, all compressed into one intense experience.
Number 4. Russian flying motorcycle. Hoversurf took Star Wars speeder bikes from fantasy to reality with their S3 hoverbike. 4 carbon fiber rotors generate lift for loads up to 120 kilograms, reaching altitudes of 16 meters while maintaining cruise speeds of 60 kilometers per hour. The hybrid design allows both free flight and ground-level hovering, giving pilots flexibility in different terrains. Emergency parachute systems deploy automatically if critical failures occur, while multiple collision sensors prevent crashes. The carbon fiber frame keeps weight minimal without sacrificing structural integrity, and electric propulsion ensures quiet, eco-friendly operation. Russian police departments are testing S-3s for patrol duties in congested urban areas where traditional vehicles get stuck in traffic. Emergency medical services see potential for rapid response units that bypass ground obstacles entirely. The adrenaline junkie market loves the motorcycle-style seating position and intuitive controls that mimic traditional bike handling. Flight time runs approximately 25 minutes per charge with current battery technology. Military applications include reconnaissance missions and quick insertion of special operations teams into difficult terrain. The learning curve is steeper than computerized systems like Jetson 1 because pilots manually control stability and direction. Training programs take several weeks to develop the skills needed for safe operation. HoverSurf continues refining the design, with newer versions increasing payload capacity and extending flight duration through improved motor efficiency and battery chemistry.
Number 3. Powered paragliding. Paragliding met electric propulsion and created something unexpectedly awesome. OpenPPG and similar companies developed electric paramotors that strap onto your back with a paraglider wing above. Traditional paramotors use noisy gas engines that sound like chainsaws, but electric versions run nearly silent with instant throttle response. The battery pack and motor weigh around 25 kilograms, generating enough thrust to launch a pilot into the air within seconds. Once airborne, the paraglider wing provides lift, while the motor maintains altitude and speed. Flight time runs 45 minutes to over an hour, depending on battery size and flying style. Pilots launch from flat ground, fly cross-country for dozens of kilometers, and land in any clear field. The sport exploded in popularity because electric systems are simpler, cleaner, and way more reliable than gas engines. No more dealing with carburetor problems, spark plugs, or fuel mixing. Just charge the batteries and fly. Top speed hits around 50 kilometers per hour, perfect for scenic flights over countryside and coastlines. The wings pack into a large backpack, and the motor unit is compact enough to fit in a car trunk. Total system cost runs between $8,000 and $15,000 depending on components, making it one of the most affordable forms of personal flight. Thousands of pilots worldwide fly electric paramotors regularly, sharing videos of their flights over mountains, beaches, and farmland. The learning curve requires proper training because wing control demands skill, but many people solo after 20 to 30 flights with an instructor. Weather conditions matter significantly. Wind and thermals affect flight characteristics dramatically. Communities formed around the sport, organizing group flights and teaching newcomers proper safety procedures. Number 2. BMW Electric Wingsuit. BMW partnered with professional wingsuit pilots to develop an electric wingsuit with small jet engines integrated into the wing surface. Traditional wingsuits glide after jumping from aircraft or mountains, with flight times limited by altitude loss. Adding thrust extends flight duration and enables level flight or even climbing. The electric wingsuit prototype used multiple small turbines, generating enough thrust to maintain altitude while flying forward at over 160 kilometers per hour. Pilots still jumped from aircraft to begin flights, but instead of gradually descending, they could fly level for extended periods before deploying parachutes. The system opened possibilities for wingsuit races and aerobatic performances impossible with unpowered suits. Development faced challenges with battery weight versus flight time. The power needed for sustained flight drained batteries quickly. Turbine noise and heat management required careful engineering to avoid burning the fabric wing. The project demonstrated feasibility, but highlighted the technical challenges of powered wingsuit flight. Other teams pursued similar concepts using different propulsion approaches. Some tried small jet engines mounted on the pilot's back or legs. Others experimented with multiple tiny electric ducted fans distributed across the wing surface. Videos of test flights showed pilots performing incredible maneuvers, flying alongside helicopters, following terrain closely, and executing aerobatic moves. The powered wingsuit remains more experimental than practical, but the concept captivates anyone who sees it. The dream of true human flight without bulky equipment keeps driving innovation in this direction. Number 1. The Backpack Helicopter. Australian engineers at CopterPack delivered something straight out of a spy movie: a personal helicopter you wear like a backpack. 2 counter-rotating rotors mounted on a lightweight frame generate enough lift to carry the pilot plus 120 kilograms of additional weight. The entire system weighs just 42 kilograms empty, making it light enough to store in a standard garage or even a large closet. Flight altitude reaches 1,000 meters, with cruise speeds around 70 kilometers per hour. Battery technology currently limits flight time to 30 minutes, but newer lithium-ion packs are extending that range with each generation. The brilliance lies in the simplicity. Most countries classify it as an ultralight vehicle, eliminating the need for expensive pilot licenses and registration fees. Control systems are intuitive enough that average people learn basic operation in just a few hours of ground training. Mountain rescue teams are testing copter packs for reaching injured hikers in terrain too dangerous for helicopters to land. Infrastructure inspection companies use them to examine bridges, power lines, and cell towers without deploying crews with climbing gear. Medical emergency services in remote areas could deliver doctors or critical supplies faster than any ground vehicle. The compact design means storage isn't an issue, and the quick deployment time makes it practical for real-world applications beyond recreational flying.
Still curious? Then don't stop now. The next mystery is already waiting for you. Just click the video on screen. I saved it just for you. See you there, curious one.